Sukhi Hotu and welcome to our Buddhist Mahavihara's Dhammadana series. We are here now live at our BMV Facebook page and we are going live this evening to share another Dhamma sharing with another very distinguished speaker this evening as we commemorate Vesak. This is still the month of Vesak, and we are very fortunate that we have a very distinguished speaker with us, and he's a very profound speaker from Sri Lanka, who was actually recommended to us by Bante Vinita, who used to be our resident monk here at the Buddhist Mahavihara. I would now like to introduce Dr. Rathnasiri, Rathnayaka from Sri Lanka, to join us in the studio. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Tilak Leslie, for coordinating all this. So, may I start?
Okay. No, let me read your profile for those of you who don't know. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with Doctor, I think Doctor has only come on our show for the first time this evening. So I'm sure you're not very familiar with his background. So let me quickly read through his profile so that we can start the Dhamma sharing. Dr. Rathnasiri is a foremost educator and academic who has had a distinguished career in academia. Ever since getting his Bachelor of Arts in Buddhist Studies and English Literature and Language from the Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka, he has gone on to further his education and learning in Buddhism by obtaining an MA, a Master's in Buddhist Studies from the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies from the University of Kelaniya, and another MA, Master's in Linguistics from the University of Kelaniya. Dr. Rathnasiri then went on to complete his PhD in Buddhist Studies, again from the Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies in Kelaniya. Now, Dr. Rathnasiri is currently the visiting lecturer of the following universities or places of education: Buddhist and Pali University of Sri Lanka, the Bhikshu University of Sri Lanka, the Nagananda International Institute for Buddhist Studies, the Sri Lanka Institute of Development Administration, Miloda Academy of Financial Studies, the Bandaranaike International Diplomatic Training Institute, the Malaysian Buddhist Academy, and the Postgraduate School of the Buddhist Library in Singapore. In addition to his busy teaching schedule, Dr. Rathnasiri has also been the former dean of the Faculty of Graduate Studies and the Faculty of Early Buddhist Sources at the Nagananda International Institute for Buddhist Studies. He's also been the supervisor and examiner of many PhD, MPhil, and master's students' theses. He's also a reviewer of academic journals, a coordinator of the Buddhist Library Graduate School in Singapore, and the coordinator of the Malaysian Buddhist Academy in Malaysia. Dr. Rathnasiri has researched and presented papers and been the session chair, and also a keynote speaker at over more than 44 international conferences around the world. So we are very glad and fortunate to have Dr. Rathnasiri with us this evening. So Dr. Rathnasiri, would you like to start this evening's Dhamma sharing?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tilak Leslie. Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very happy to join this program, BMB Dhammadana series, that is Buddhist Mahavihara Dhammadana series. To start right away, because we have some restricted time. So Buddhism, actually there is no ism in Buddhism, just like Confucianism, Marxism, Leninism, but we call it Buddhism for the time being. But Buddhism is not neither religion nor philosophy in its realistic analysis. It is an exposition of the reality of the world, the material and immaterial world, mental, physical phenomena, and also the clarification of the path toward the realization of the mental, physical phenomena of the world. So it's in that sense that I use the term Buddhism, but in almost all the discourses throughout the Tripitaka, Vinaya, Sutta, and Abhidhamma, in its final analysis, we can say not Buddhism but Buddha Dhamma or Buddhist or Buddha's doctrine. Anyway, in this sense, I use the word Buddhism. So Buddhism is not at all centered on any external divine or almighty, or it doesn't claim any external forces or inspiration from any divine or almighty forces. Although most of the religions in the world and teachings God-centered, Buddhism is not at all God-centered, but is anthropocentered or man-centered, because it helps the man to realize his or her weaknesses and potentials, and guide himself or herself towards the higher developments of his inner character and the outer character. Okay, so being an anthropocentered teaching, Buddhism actually doesn't claim any external divinity or judgment or destiny or forces or any superiority, but it is totally the expression of the teachings of the Buddha, Gautama Buddha. Therefore, to talk about the universal adaptability of Buddha's teaching, which is my topic today, and we cannot find any religiosity, ethnicity, or nationality, race, caste, creed, or any territorial discriminations in Buddha's teaching. So that is the first actually universal adaptability. Although it is in different lands, cultures, and there are lots of traditions and schools, and even interpretations and clarification. But in the final analysis, in real analysis, as far as the discourses in the entire Buddhist teachings are concerned, there are no any such claim, and even a particular mention of the nation, or we can't find any restricted or limited teaching for Malaysians, Sri Lankans, Americans, or whatever, but is universally common to everybody. And according to Buddha's teaching, man is a combination of mental, physical phenomena, and that is common to everybody, irrespective of any caste, creed, or national or ethnicity, whatever. So, man is a combination of mental, physical phenomena, in other words, material, immaterial qualities, and that is common to everybody and entire world. Even that was common at the time of the Buddha, and even today, and even the days to come. That is a universal adaptability and universal exposition of the man's nature. And in these mental physical phenomena, we call it in Pali nama rupa, or corporeality and the mind qualities, and even nama rupa, name and form. That's common to all the people in the world. And in this, a man is of three mental, man is of three actions, namely mental actions, verbal actions, and physical actions. And these three types of actions are common to all the people, irrespective of any nationality or race or any territorial discrimination. Among these three actions, mental, verbal, and bodily actions, there are two types of, or we can categorically put them into two types. For instance, let's talk about the mental, the most prominent analysis of action that everybody has. That is mental actions. In the mental actions, there are two types: negative and positive mental actions, and that is the same with verbal and bodily actions: positive and negative, or wholesome or unwholesome, good or evil. So among the two types of actions, and even there are degrees, levels, wholesome actions, wholesome mental actions, and wholesome bodily actions, and wholesome verbal actions, especially among. So let me just elaborate on the mental actions of the person to show you the universal adaptability or universal expression of Buddha's teaching. So as far as the mental actions of any person in the world, is concerned, there are two types basically: wholesome mental actions and unwholesome mental actions. And the wholesome mental actions, for example, let's say loving kindness, generosity, affection, caring, which are common to everybody. And can you find, for example, loving kindness, that this is the Malaysian loving kindness? I mean, let's talk about national in Malaysia, Singapore, America, Sri Lanka. So we can see that this is Malaysian loving kindness, Sri Lanka loving kindness, Ethiopian, American, German, but loving kindness is loving kindness. That is actually a wholesome quality that can be cultivated, developed in any person to an ultimate until it reaches the perfection and consummation. So that is one aspect of universal adaptability. And even with regard to the weaknesses of mind, let's say the negative emotions like jealousy, hypocrisy, cruelty, and even these are common to all the people, and all these are actually propelled and based by the three unwholesome roots, that is actually namely lobha dosa moha, greed, hatred, and delusion. And even these are common to everybody. Although we say in Buddhist terms, so Pali term, lobha dosa moha, they are common, universally existing mental weaknesses that everybody has in the world. So lobha, that is actually the attachment to all the mental physical phenomena, and that is present in everybody in different levels. So lobha or greed, the English terms are not capable enough to convey the real essence or the meaning of the Pali terms. Anyway, let's say lobha, greed. And can we define or analyze that there's a particular lobha in a Christian follower, a Buddhist follower, or Islam, or whoever. So lobha is lobha, and it has no any particular identity that this Malaysian lobha, Sri Lankan lobha, American lobha, Singapore lobha. So lobha is lobha, which is harmful to everybody, especially when the level of lobha, the intensity of lobha increases up to a high level. There are basically three levels, which I'm not going to elaborate. And one of the highest levels of lobha, greed, is abhijja, that is covetousness. So when the lobha rises up to that level, that is harmful to you, the individual, the family, the society, and all the people in the economic life, professional life, social life, environmental life, religious life, and even in the world context. So, such is the universal quality of the nature of lobha that is present in every person. Uh, and So, with regard to these negative, positive qualities, uh, that is very common to all the people in the world, and they have no any discrimination, as I mentioned earlier. So, and even with regard to development of these, the suppression of these and the development of these. So when these actually increase, when all the negative emotions or mental weaknesses or unwholesome mental actions increase, they cause lots of problems. They are inimical, harmful to the individual and the society. And in the same way, when they are suppressed, eradicated, or alleviated or eradicated, and when instead of that, when the good qualities or wholesome mental actions are developed, cultivated, and that is actually beneficial to the individual and the society. So that is a common nature, irrespective of any caste, creed, or whatever the differences existing in the world. And even with regard to, so actually I'm not going to elaborate lots of things, but I'm just showing you the universal adaptability of Buddha's teaching or the nature in brief. And then when talking about the central teachings like Tilakkana, the three universal characteristics, Paticca the causality or dependent co-arising, and the theory of karma. And these, especially these three universal characteristics, dependent co-arising, and the karma teaching are not the inventions of the Buddha. They are not invented. They are discoveries. So even the Buddha says that whether the Tathagatas, the Buddhas appear in the world, or whether they preach these universal dhammas or not, they are there. They come into being not because of the Buddha's teaching. Whether you understand this or whether you believe or disbelieve, whether you are a follower of the Buddha's teaching or non-follower, whether you are ignorant or whether you are aware of the teachings are there, and they are actually universally applicable, and they are universally existing. For example, Tilakkana, the three universal nature of the mental physical phenomena. So they have not come into being. That this nature, this threefold nature, has not come into being because of the Buddha's teaching. So it has been existing even before the Buddha, and even after the great passing away of the Buddha, and even is existing now. So one nature is that everything is suffering. Suffering is not a good word for anicca. So let's say dukkha, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Yadaniccan tandukkam. So if something or whatever the mental physical phenomena is impermanent, that is dukkha. That is the philosophical interpretation of dukkha, and they are interconnected. So when dukkha is there, if something is impermanent, that is dukkha. If dukkha, something is dukkha, that is no soul. So to put that in a very nice way, so most of the people, according to my knowledge, have not understood the real meaning of dukkha or anicca. So anicca is not something which, but people refer to anicca when something is broken, destroyed. No, anicca is an everlasting phenomenal existence or nature that is present in all the mental physical phenomena, humans and non-humans, or material immaterial things. So that is the ever-changing nature. Even in an infant, a toddler, adolescence, a child, adolescence, elderly person, and even in whoever the person is, and whatever the thing is, the ever-changing nature is there. That is known as anicca. That is known as anicca. And dukkha is a term philosophically used, so in deep sense in Pali, used by the Buddha to talk about the unsatisfactory nature of all the mental physical phenomena in the context of dukkha. Now, for example, even according to Subhuti Sutta, the Buddha, in short, the happiness we experience is dukkha, and also the sorrow we experience, pain, also dukkha. Why? Because they sooner or later change, impermanent. So that's why the term dukkha is used there. And there are three types of dukkha. That is the further, that is actually later analysis. And now dukkha is actually ever-changing nature. This is another term. Another term. In the Subhuti Sutta, the Buddha praising, admiring the jhanic attainments of a certain monk, says that even that is dukkha, because sooner or later the psychic powers or mental absorptions, all the yes, jhanic attainments are also known as dukkha. Why? Sooner or later they are not permanent. Sooner or later they change. That's why, according to Western thought, also maybe based on Buddhism, I think so. And no one can see a river twice. That refers to the ever-changing nature. But according to Buddha's teaching, even there's no one person. One person cannot see a river twice. But according to Buddha's teaching, there's no even one person who cannot see a river twice. That means all the mental, physical phenomena are changing. It is in that sense that we refer to dukkha. And some say that Buddhism is pessimistic, but Buddhism is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. It's realistic because it looks at the things in an objective or realistic way. So looks at all the mental, physical phenomena as they are, as it is, Shata Bhuta. Therefore, the Anguttara Nikaya mentions 26 happinesses. But whatever they are impermanent because they are conditioned on impermanence, and they are rooted in that. So Tilakkana is a universal teaching which has come into being not because of Buddha, but it was discovered and exposed to the people in an elaborative way. So that is the universal adaptability. And then even Paticsamutpada. So according to Paticsamutpada theory, the Paticsamutpada is there is no single cause. There are many causes. There are many causes, and there's no first reason. There are many reasons. There's no single reason. There are many reasons or causes. There's no first cause. There are many causes, and there may be the closest, the proximate, the immediate cause, and all the causes are interwoven, interconnected. And that is also actually of a universal, adaptive, universal nature, which cannot be denied by anybody in the world, because it's the expression of the reality of all the mental, physical phenomena, and even the karma. The karma is not the main thing, and is one of the things, and it's not because of the karma that everything comes into being. Karma can be changed. That is the Buddha's teaching. But most of the Buddhists all over the world believe a sort of determinism, which has not been actually taught in Buddha's teaching. The karma is one of the 6 niyamas, theories. But anyway, the karmic results is that when one commit bad actions, so according to the intensity of the action and according to actually the context of the crime or the bad things or deeds, maybe mental, verbal, physical deeds, the karmic results are there. Good consequences or bad consequences are there. So whether we believe this karmic theory or not, whether we are follower or non-follower, whether we are ignorant or aware of it, the theory is there, and that operates. So that is actually another universal nature, and even the teaching that can be adapted to in every context, in everywhere. And okay, now Buddhism is an exposition of the reality of the world, that is mental, physical phenomena, and also the elaboration of the path leading to that realization. Especially in 3 stages, that is Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So when these 3 terms are mentioned, people tend to say, that is Buddhism. Actually, now, so okay, they are Pali terms, but when they are understood, or when they are analyzed, when they are looked into in real sense, and this morality, development of morality, or in other words, the development of behavioral qualities. And the second stage is the development of mental qualities, or let's say Samadhi. And next, the development of cognitive qualities, wisdom. And when these are elaborated, analyzed, and understood, and reflected in the context of Buddha's teachings, we can't find any ethnicity or particular race or religiosity or a particular faction of the society, or nationality or territorial identity. So that is common to all, everybody. So although the teachings, the central teachings like Tilakkana, Paticsamutpada, Kamma theory are universal, and they are there even before the exposition of the Buddha, but these 3 developments, morality, concentration, and wisdom, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the threefold development is a setting by the Buddha. And even Aryatanka Magga is a Noble Eightfold Path, is a setting designed by the Buddha in order to guide a person to uh, lead or tread on the path leading towards the realization of the real world, mental physical phenomena. And I would like to talk about Sila. Sila is, what is Sila? Sila is none other than the constraint or control. A person in all the worlds, even in the human world, the Brahma world, and the Deva world, they have mental weaknesses, or we call them killes or cankers, or mental impurities, taints, mental fermentations, and they are in the basic synthesis. It is known as the three unwholesome roots: greed, hatred, and delusion, lobha, dosa, moha. And in another analysis, especially in terms of the mental development, in the process of mental development, they are termed in that context as pancha nivarna, the five hindrances. They are none other than the lobha, dosa, moha. And in another analysis, so when these lobha, dosa, moha, in another analysis, which are known as pancha nivarana, and in another context, when these mental weaknesses keep the person tied to the continuous perpetual samsaric life, they are known as fetters, sangyojana, higher and lower fetters, Uddambagi, Orambagi, 10 fetters. It's the same. The basis, if you analyze the Panchanivarna, the 10 fetters, the five hindrances and the 10 fetters, Sangyojana, the basis is the three, the Noxus trio, the greed, hatred, and delusion. And even in another context, these are analyzed, especially in the Vatupama Sutta, into 16 mental weaknesses, and its commentary 18. And in another sutta like Salayaka Sutta, they have been elaborated, in accordance with, especially in the context of ethical, in ethical context, psychological context, mental and spiritual context. There are 44 types of mental weaknesses. And in the Abhidhamma, 1500. So it's very difficult for any person in the world, irrespective of any race or any particular nation or race or any ethnicity, very difficult to eradicate the defilements at once. There has to be a gradual. Although Mahayana Buddhism talks about certain enlightenment, but there are other things which should come into being gradually, step by step. So it's very difficult for a household like us to eradicate the defilements at once. And there should be a sort of control. The control of these defilements is known as sila, the restraint. So that is actually the control of the mental weaknesses, the so-called mental weaknesses in verbal and bodily actions. Actually, verbal and bodily actions. So when the mental weaknesses, the mental wickednesses, cruelties, mental impurities are controlled through verbal and bodily actions, what is behind is his mind. What is behind his mind? So in analysis, in final sense, sila is, or the behavioral development is none other than the control, suppression, and the alleviation of the inimical intensity of mental weaknesses. So that is necessary. So in Buddhist terms, in different contexts and culture, we call it different subjects. We call it Panchasila, 5 precepts. Okay, so these 5 precepts, which are specially introduced in Buddha's teaching, are not limited to a particular nation, particular followers, or not only to Buddhists. If we analyze them in true sense, it's not only for Buddhists. There's no such a thing, or Islam, or Christianity, or Hindu, or whoever else. It is applicable. It is adoptable. It can be applied by everybody in the world without any discrimination. Now, let's say, for example, this one, Panchasila. Now one is, now we usually in the culture, we tend to recite. The recitation of the Panchasila, that is okay. But recitation and, okay, let's say we should refrain from, let's take one, let's say killing. We should refrain from killing. So not only refraining, but we should observe that precept. So we just look at only these two aspects. But as far as many suttas, which convey a very comprehensive uh, analysis and a methodology for all of us to apply these. There is not only refraining, but refraining, observance. Then we have encouragement and appreciation. Before that, we have abandonment. About 7-8 steps. So refraining from killing, then abandoning killing, observance of that precept of refrain from killing. Then you encourage others who are engaged in that. Then you appreciate those who refrain from killing. And then the next step is actually is to practice, develop. That is the higher level. The higher level. So even in that practice, there are three aspects. One is you practice refrain from killing in the context of righteousness. That is actually towards you and the society. Righteousness, dhammika. And next in the context of dhamma. So you should apply it in conformity with dhamma. And finally, the purification. You see, there are about 8 steps, but we just talk about only application, refrain, and observe. Veramani and samadhyana. So I refrain, I observe. No, according to suttas like Salayaka, Sangiti, Chundakammara Bhutta, and Sikha Sutta, Panchasila Sutta, and even other many suttas in the Digha Nikaya and Majjhima Nikaya, we find the application, the development of one ethical behavior, which is very beneficial to the individual development and the social development, and also the spiritual and mental and cognitive spiritual development. So refraining from telling lies, abandoning telling lies of falsehood, and then appreciation of those who refrain from falsehood, encouragement of those who refrain from falsehood, and then you practice refraining from falsehood in accordance with righteousness, then in accordance with dhamma. That is totally for your mental purification, your inner purification. And finally, you should practice until it reaches the consummation, that is the purification. So there are stages like that. So you from the outward control, and it goes deeper into the inward control until you find the total consummation from just Sila to the final. That's why in the Sonadanda Sutra, all these are interconnected. And the morality is because on the basis of morality that one is led to the second stage, that is concentration of samadhi. And it's on that basis that one can lead or tread the path to the highest one, that is wisdom. So they are interconnected. That's why in the Sonadanda Sutra, Buddha says that morality purifies wisdom, and wisdom purifies morality. So they are interconnected. So that is the basis. And even in the Bhaivera Sutta, the emphasis of the development of morality is there. So that is actually all these suttas are not restricted to a particular nation, ethnicity, religiosity, but they are universally applicable. The 5 major or fundamental human rights advocated in the United Nations Human Rights Convention, namely, every man has the right to protect or safeguard his life, and that is well preserved in the first precept. Not only your own life, but the life of all the sentient beings in the world, in the universe. The second one is every man has the right, prime right to safeguard, protect his wealth and property, and that is well preserved and well safeguarded in the second precept. And the third, according to the United Nations Human Rights Convention, human rights, third is that every man has the right to lead a peaceful, undisturbed, uninterrupted family life. So that is well guarded, well preserved in the third precept. Not only that, even actually there is a real remedy to prevent oneself the infection of the venereal diseases sticking to one partner. And if one violates this, one will be affected with HIV, AIDS, or venereal diseases, and even that's will be the destruction of the family of another, in the society. So that is how it is applied there. And the fourth, according to the human rights, basically, is that every man has the right to know or get to know true information. So that is well preserved in the fourth precept. Even in the Aryatanka Magga Samma Vacha, there is a very, very comprehensive, analytical, scientific, universally adaptable elaboration of three types of evil speech or wrong communication, and the development of wholesome communication that leads people to get true information. So I'm not going to elaborate. And the last one is every man has the right to maintain peace of mind, and in a way that we can say that is well preserved in the fifth precept. So taking refrain from taking intoxicants. So these are there, and they are and what you find even in the five major human rights, the application of the Panchasila, nothing else. Even the WHO, the World Health Organization, their motto is that the entire world is to enjoy physical well-being, mental well-being, and social well-being. That is really good. But as far as the universal teaching of the Buddhas are concerned, even the WHO has to adopt one more. So that is not only physical well-being, mental well-being, social well-being, and even spiritual well-being. So that is well elaborated well exposed in the well quoted stanza of in the Buddhist scriptures. That is Arogya Paramalabha. That is actually the physical well-being. Santupti Paramandanam. That is actually the mental well-being of person. And the third is Visasa Paramanyati, the social well-being. And Nibbana Paramansukam. That is the spiritual well-being. So these are common to everybody in the world, and they are applicable by everybody in the world. So all the teachings which we come across in the entire Sutta Pitaka, Dika Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, and Kuddaka Nikaya, and the Vinaya Pitaka, Bhikkhu Patimokkha and Bhikkhuni Patimokkha, and even the higher teaching, ultimate teachings in the Abhidhamma, in the seven texts, especially referring to early Buddhist teachings, Sutta and Vinaya, and all the suttas convey and show a universal applicability, adaptability, and nature that can be applied in any context, in any environment in the world. So that's it. So that's all I have time for. Actually, I have not elaborated lots of things. Just to mention, I mentioned some topics. And please excuse me, I have actually another scheduled lecture after 15 minutes. So we have 3-4 minutes. If you like, you can actually post any question to me. But let me wind up the program after within 5 minutes. Yes. Any question? Yeah. Okay, so actually, in the real teachings of the Buddha, the happiness we experience and also the suffering experience are not permanent. So there are some suttas. I'm not going to actually mention the suttas. And Buddha says that all these are not permanent. So if they are permanent, so there is no actually reason of actually no development at all. So so we can't help ourselves, you know. Especially in the sutta, you know, this one. If I just refer to some suttas, you know, Anicca Sutta, even Subhuti Sutta, and you find some teachings that Buddha says all types of you know, feelings, Vedana. So person is of, you know, the five aggregates. That is also common to everybody. In short, Nama Rupa, corporeality and mental qualities, and then out of them, except the Rupa, the other four types are Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. That is feeling or sensation, perception, mental fabrications or mental formations, and consciousness. And these are not permanent. So let's take one, for example, feelings. That is Vedana. So we have two types of Vedana, Sukha and Dukkha. They are not permanent, anicca. And again into three, Sukha, Dukkha, and Adukkha, pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor pleasant. And again into six, and into 18, then 36, then 108 types of feelings. All these are subjected to change. They sooner or later change. And that's why the changing, the ever flux, the change in nature is known as dukkha. That is actually impermanence, because all these, the 108 types of sensations or feeling, Vedana, are of ever changing nature. So they are of the dukkha nature. That's why the Buddha even says in the Subhuta Sutta, even praising, you know, the higher mental absorptions or attainments, they also are subjected to changing. That's why it's known as dukkha. Dukkha is to be understood in that sense. I think, is it okay? Yeah, please explain human nature, good or bad. Yes, actually, now even let's take you and me. So I have, I have actually mental weaknesses, and even mental strength, or let's say good mental qualities and bad mental qualities. So when I get angry, there's a bad mental quality, and if I, so anger arises in me. But if you do not allow that anger to pass to your mouth, that is into words, that's control. And even if you allow the anger which has arisen in your mind to put into words, and also not only that, into a hand, hit a person, that's very bad. So if you control it, that is seal. So anger arises. So anger is not a positive one, but a bad one. And if some people get, you know, bitter anger, that's very bad, even tends to kill a person. So they are the negative bad qualities. So we are a combination of good and bad qualities. So that's why basically they are known as Lobha Dosa Moha. And Lobha has several, you know, divisions, and Moha has several divisions, and Ditti or Moha, and even Dosa. Dosa is anger, no? So that's why we have good and bad. Good and bad, that's our nature, no? Especially nature. But if we develop the good or the good qualities of mind, even through verbal and bodily actions, that is actually towards high development. But if we do not allow that to happen, what will happen is that our bad qualities will, you know, increase, and they will get established, and you will become a bad character. So every person, except the Arahantas. Arahantas are none other than, even anybody can be Arahant, even a Muslim, Christian, whoever it is. No discrimination there. So Arahant is a person who has totally destroyed all the mental weaknesses without residue. So except such a person, all the other persons have mental weaknesses, also good qualities. So that's why it is known as good and bad. That's the nature. Actually, in the Chittavagga of Dhammapada, you will find the nature of mind, the strength of mind, the weakness of mind, and also how to suppress, alleviate, and eradicate the weakness of mind, and also to develop. Okay, I think that's all I have to dedicate myself
Sorry, doctor.
by my university. Actually, and thank you very much for Mr. Tilaklesi, and he has been actually contacting me for several days, and even
Yeah.
one day. So hoping to meet you again for a very
Yes.
very fruitful interactions. I'll wind up. Yeah, Miss Leslie.
Uh, Thank you, doctor. Thank you for an excellent sharing. I know you're in a rush because you have another lecture to attend to, but we still take this opportunity to thank you for sparing this 1 hour with us, and it has been very fruitful. And we definitely would like to have you back on this Dhammadana series again when time permits. And on behalf of the Committee of Management and the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara, thank you once again. To the sponsors this evening, thank you for your sponsorship. And to all our listeners who are listening to us live, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you soon and keep safe. Have a pleasant evening. Sadhu.